Can I ask you a question to start with? Do you know anyone who gets really angry while they are hungry? Well, if you don't know anyone, you can say you know me because I am one such person who gets really angry when I am hungry. Now, in this video, I'm going to tell you what I do when I get angry and how I cope up with that every single time I am hungry. Hello everyone, yet another video on CSK Speaks. Welcome. As you know, I am CSK and today I'm going to tell you something which many people do not know about me. That is, I get really angry when I am hungry. And I'm sure some of you will resonate with me that food is a big trigger for anger. And when I get angry, as I said, I kind of lose control. I lose my mind. I start blaming people around. I start looking for mistakes and I get wild with words and wild with my actions. I was doing this and I was hating myself every single time I get into that zone. Till I found this particular video or this particular story which I want to share. Of course, the single most successful hack I use when I am about to get hungry, because you get those triggers, right, is to gulp down a couple of glasses of water. Yes, it really works like magic, at least for me. Because when you start filling yourself up with water, all that feeling of hunger vanishes and it gives you some kind of a sustenance for at least 15-20 minutes. And by then, your brain can think of options for you to feed on, and then you no longer get into that zone. But this story made me realize that hack is good, but there is something more to life and the way we go about dealing with life. As every video of mine, I talk about these stories as a ready reference for our future self so that we can pick and choose which videos to watch and try to get centered on dealing with our life. So let's get started then. So there lived a man, very rich, very kind, very famous. He had all the comforts and the facilities one can imagine. He had a palatial bungalow, a great number of people working and helping him as helpers and servants and domestic helpers. He had a lot of comforts in his house. He could think of everything under the sun was available for him at maybe a few claps or maybe a few shouts. Very happy, very contented, as I said, very kind, very popular. People used to love to get an audience with him, to talk to him, to invite him for programs and have some good time with him. Now, just beside his palatial bungalow, there was another man. This man was very poor. If so poor that sometimes the roof of his hut was not there. It just gets blown away thanks to the wind or the rain, or it just collapses because of the excessive heat. And those times, his only refuge was that huge compound wall of this palatial bungalow. So he was living there, and for some reason, this rich man and this poor man never came across each other. They did not exist in each other's world. Now suddenly, let's imagine that there was a lockdown. There was a lockdown which we all have experienced. So I'm taking that from today's times to that particular story, because I could have said there was a famine, there was a drought. We don't relate to that, right? Let's relate to lockdown. So there was a lockdown. Now this man, the poor man who was a daily wage laborer, lost all his opportunities to make his daily meal because he did not have a job. It is locked down in the city or in the town. He cannot go out to do anything. There is curfew there. So he just has to sit and wait it out. 2 days passed, 3 days passed, 4 days passed, 1 week passed. And now he sees no light at the end of the tunnel. And that's when he decides that he will knock on the door of this rich man next door and request him for some help. So he walks into that bungalow. And as I said, the rich man was a kind man. His people allowed him. And then he comes right in front of the rich man and bends over and asks him for some food because he has been starving for 7 straight days. The rich man noticed that this poor man is bending not because he's hungry or he's poor, but he's bending because his self-esteem has left him. He was existing there. They did not cross each other's worlds, but this rich man was good at reading people. He looked at him and he was no beggar. He was not here to take some quick, instant fix to his problem. He is here feeling sad about his situation, his plight. And the rich man took kindness to this man. And then instead of offering him some food, he said, "Well, my friend, I will offer you much more than what you have come here for, because I think that's the thing you have come here for. I'll offer you a job. Yes, I know there is lockdown and the situation is quite not very conducive, but I can give you a job because I know that you want to earn your meal in a very, very respectable manner. But before that, I want you to have dinner with me. Because after dinner, we are going to discuss the terms of your employment." This man was happy now because suddenly his self-esteem took a boost. I'm getting a job and I'm having my meal with my to-be employer. So he was okay and he was expecting the next move, that is to have dinner, because he was still hungry. Now, so far so good. Now the rich man calls for people to set up the table for a nice lavish meal for both of them. This poor man is wondering, who is he talking to? Because there is nobody he can see. But the rich man is talking as to, "Come on, who is that? Set up the table for us. We are going to have dinner now." Nobody came. And further, the rich man guides this other guy, says, "Come, let's go and wash our hands." And he takes him to the corner of the room where there is no wash basin or some hand wash facility. And the rich man acts as if he's washing his hand and asks the other guy, the poor guy, to actually do the same thing. The poor man is wondering, has this man lost his mind? There's nobody to whom he gave instructions to. Now he's asking me to wash my hands where there is no facility, but he still plays along. And then he brings him back to the table, the dining table, and then looks at the table, which is of course empty. But then he says, the rich man, "Oh, wow, they have spread a good meal for all of us. We have a couple of varieties of desserts. Then we have got sambar, we have got rotis, and we have got some vegetables. Please feel free. Let's have a good meal, and then we will discuss the terms of our employment." This poor man is wondering as to, this guy is sane or insane? Is he going to give me a job? Because I don't see any food, I don't see anything, and I can't make sense of any of these things. And I got played and I'm hungry, and this is what is happening. But still, he waits it out. He waits for the rich man to make the first move. And rich man serves himself, at least he acts as if he's serving himself. And then he goes about eating it and enjoying the sumptuous meal and telling, "Wow, this is very good. You should take a double serving," and all that. And the poor man plays along. Finally, they are done with that meal and again goes to the corner of that particular room to wash their hands. And this time, the rich man lets the poor man lead the way, saying, "Come, please wash your hand and let's sit down and talk the terms of our employment." This fellow is focused on the employment. He let this entire story pass as a stupid dream. And he's still focusing on what he wants, which is a job and to earn his own bread. every single day from tomorrow. Now, when they sit down, the rich man confesses. He says, "Sorry, my friend, you have won and I have lost." The poor man cannot understand what he means. He says, "I was actually testing you. I was actually testing you as to how you will react in your adverse moment." And then he says, "I am a guy who cannot control my hunger. I am a guy who loses it every time I get hungry, and I expect people around me to take cognizance or take notice of that fact and help me even before I reach that tipping point." That's why they are all here, right? But you went through the same emotion, you went through the same hunger, but you had your head balanced. You did not behave in an uncontrollable manner, even well knowing that I was actually pulling off something abnormal in front of you. I could notice that you were skeptical every time I took you to the corner to wash your hand or to enjoy the food on the table where there was none. But you still played along and you still remained patient. And that is something which I admire in you, because that person who can keep his sanity in spite of all adversity is the person to watch out for. And now, I don't have anything more to discuss with you for my terms of employment, because all my lands will be under your observation and supervision starting tomorrow. You are my manager for my estate. And saying these words, he looked at his servants, and this time they were real ones, and asked them to set up the table right then, and it was already ready. They got the cue from their master, and they enjoyed that sumptuous meal in reality. So when I heard this story, I felt, wow, this is a story to me, because I lose my temper just because I'm hungry. And then once I'm done, I regret, I repent, I feel bad for whatever I did, because I lost focus on the real thing, the most important thing, which is to have a cordial relationship with people, to get on with my day, to complete my task, to achieve my goals, and to stick to a good habit. But here, I understood that that person who keeps his sanity in times of adversity is the person to watch out for. I hope you got the message from this. Stories are a brilliant way for us to get grounded, and my favorite is to watch, read, listen, and share these stories. If you like the story, do share this with people around you, because for me, the trigger might be hunger. For you, something else. For somebody, something else. But the message is very common, that that person who maintains his or her sanity in times of adversity is the person to watch out for. Thank you very much. Till next time, CSK signing off.